To start off, I am just going to jump into kind of a broad question. How are marketers and creatives leveraging AI today, and what are some of the use cases that you find to be the most forward-thinking and interesting?
So I would say, you can't really say how our marketers, I understand it's a hard thing to answer. There's a spectrum. There are the marketers that jumped on very, very early, such as our friends at Silverside, and they got into it, like they can use Coffee UI, they can trade their own auras, they can build workflows, they can do all these kind of things, and a bunch of them became prompt engineers because that's what you had to do. And then you have marketers that are like seeing, listening, maybe testing a little bit. I would say what is really exciting with the start of this year, a creative director at a large agency said this the other day. He said, what is so exciting with AI now is that it used to be that I came to any one of these platforms and I said, let's see what kind of ideas I can get out. Whereas now, I come with an idea, and I come to Luma with an idea, and I can actually get that idea out of me. And that's really exciting. And so the use cases that we see for our agents is we see a lot of variants. We see a lot of ads, both video, image, but across platforms and being able to take it out to platforms. We see a lot of ideations from script to videos to some editing, although I would say that humans are far better editors than the agents are today.
So where does Luma sit in this landscape?
So we do three things. We build foundational models. We build a platform called Luma, where you can do 0 to 1 work, very similar to the early versions of coding agents. You can now do that if you are a creative. And the third thing that we do is that we have a team of forward-deployed creatives, which help anyone that wants to learn about how to use our agents or use our models, how to upskill and start doing creative work with AI.
So I want to talk about where agents sort of fit into the work of a creative. Obviously, you guys have this creative agent offering. How can a creative or marketer start to leverage agents?
So it used to be that you had to, if you wanted to use AI for creative work, you needed to go to one platform to help collaborate with your script. And then you needed to go to 5 different platforms for images and 5 different platforms for videos. And you got 1 video here, 1 image there, 1 video. And you could get like stuff out of there, but you needed to all of a sudden understand sort of like which platform are good for which one, and where do I go to do which kind of work, and like that's a lot of kind of useless information to know if all you want to do is to actually get your creative idea out there. And now with our agents, what you can do is you go to one place where you have access to all of the best models in the world, but you also have agents, and what they do is that they help you go from 0 to 1 on specific tasks. Someone explained this the other day. I'm like, oh, it's great. They take away the most boring part of my job. And I think that's one way of looking at the agents. Another way of looking at them is they help you do a lot more with your time. So if you look at all of the best creative professionals, all of the best artists, all of the best musicians, like a way to get to really, really good outcomes is to do a shit ton of that thing. And agents help you do much more than ever before. And so you get to see so many more of your versions of your own ideas out there on the canvas and be like, this is good, this is not good, this is good, this is not good. So imagine if Mozart was able to like do even more, like he did so much bad stuff, right? To get to the really great stuff, and that's part of the process. Agents help you do that.
Yeah, that absolutely makes sense. But you mentioned, a large swath of creatives, musicians, videographers, artists. As someone that lives I personally live in LA, and I am surrounded by
very, I mean, people like to make a big thing out of that. This is superhuman for me. It's change. And like all humans, like my standard case of this is like, all humans, we meet change in different ways. My way of meeting change is if you suggest pretty much anything, my answer is yes before you finish the sentence. Then when the change happens that I now said yes to, I'm like, no, wait, who said yes to this? My husband, on the other hand, if you propose anything to him, he has only two answers, which is either no, or I will think about it. This is a big challenge for a marriage. But what happens is that when he's then presented with a change that he has then thought through and eventually said yes to, he has no resistance, because he knows exactly what he's getting into. So I think what we're seeing in the market is that we're seeing some people that are more like me, are like, yeah, of course, like AI, like I'll try it, I'll just go and like figure it out and start testing, and other people that say no, or I'll think about it. And they are doing just that. And eventually I think they will try it out. I think we all need to try it out. And creative professionals that start using AI today are coming at a time where the technology is getting really good, both on the base foundational level, but also on the product level. So it's not, I would start saying it's easy to come in now versus a year ago. It's much more fun to come in now than a year ago. But the other thing that is happening is that when you look around in the market, what I'm seeing is that I'm seeing more people that have spent their entire careers as videographers or art directors or VFX supervisors or copywriters, and they are coming in and they are trying these platforms. And so we're seeing a different level of creative height in the work that is being put out there. And that's exciting and inspiring.
So how can creatives get beyond I guess like part of it is the fear, because there's obviously that rhetoric of like, oh, this is gonna replace art, or like a musician thinking like, oh, this app can make a song better than me. How can people get beyond that fear?
I mean, I think there's two ways to think about it. One is like, if you think of this as the enemy, which I don't think you should, but if that is how you think about it, there's this old wisdom of like, get to know your enemy, or know your friends, but really know your enemy. Something it's much more eloquent like that. But anyway, so I think it's like, if that is truly how you feel about it, you really should get to know it. And if you are just, the other thing I think is just, I mean, they're not going to buy it. Like, just use this. I think you'll find it more useful than fearful.
Is there anywhere where a line should be drawn? Are there any use cases in creative marketing spaces that creativity should use AI?
Yeah, I mean, I don't think that AI is different than anything else. I mean, brand guidelines exist for reasons. There are rules around, like, for all social platforms that at the end of the day sit on the distribution, like on what should be allowed to be published or not. There is your own individual sort of relationship. But for us as a platform, we have a bunch of moderation, we have a bunch of guidelines. Yeah, you shouldn't be able to put anything out there. But I think the old rules should apply here as well.
So my lead at DQ specifically focuses on responsibility and ethics. So I feel like I definitely want to talk about where do you think, how does Luma think about responsible and ethical AI, and how should creatives consider ethics and responsibility in their AI use?
So what we do at Luma is that we have moderation in terms of our outputs for things such as IP, and also a bunch of use cases that we have determined is against our user guidelines, really. Just like, these things should never come out of Luma, and we just remove the ability to get that. So I think that's pretty easy. What I see happening on brands specifically is one topic that is discussed a lot is whether or not we use AI humans. And I mean, in Hollywood, this is discussed to at length. What is interesting with that topic is that I see brands that are saying, yes, we're okay with AI humans. And then I see brands that are saying, no, we want real humans. Unless we're making robots, then we're okay with robots. But if there are humans, then the way that they use, but we still want to use AI. And so the way they use AI is they use something that we call modify at Luma, which means that, say you are our actor or a model in the commercial. We record you on a video. Using AI, we can now move you to any environment that we want. You are still you. The video is still you. You are not AI-ified at all. But we can move you to a beach, we can move you to a mountain, we can move you to space. That is how I see Hollywood are using that a lot. I think the beautiful part of that is, and what I hear from actors in LA specifically, is that what is so fantastic with that is, A, you don't have to travel, but B, is you can focus on the performance. You can focus on, it's almost more like being on a theater stage between two actors, because you don't have like, the sun is setting and the wind is blowing and we have all of this stuff that is flying around. It's like, no, there's two actors on a stage and they can act and they can do their fullest to that. So I think it's exciting to see actors thinking about AI that way. What I find on the brand side, though, which is most puzzling to me, like these two camps, I kind of understand. Either you're like, I'm AI humans, or I'm not. But then some brands, they are saying, we are not okay with AI humans, but we are okay with AI hands and AI feet, but we don't want AI faces. And that for me is like, I don't know who came up with those rules. It's always interesting to see like people coming up with their own rules, but that is harder because my hand still feels very human, as does my face and my head. So brands are trying to figure this out, and studios as well.
Yeah. And I mean, while we're talking about sort of best practices, governance, the lines in which brands aren't okay with things, let's talk about the copyright question. How should brands approach the question of copyright and what they should and shouldn't use when they use AI?
So I think the first thing is like for any AI platform that you use as a brand, make sure that you're always on the enterprise account and make sure that everyone that works on your brand is always also on the enterprise plan. I'm saying this because we check on our self-serve if there are any enterprise accounts listed. This is the old PLG motion of how we find brands and companies to go after, and we find a lot of really big brands there, which is exciting because we reach out to them and we say, hey, do you want to be on our enterprise plan? You don't want this to happen if it is your brand, because the reason for that is that when you're an enterprise user of Luma, we don't train on any of your data. We don't train on your input, we don't train on your output. If you're not an enterprise user, we do that. And we're very clear that we do that. But it might be that some people on your team, they have no idea. And they are just signing up with their corporate card to any plan because they want to try out some AI platforms. So I think that's the first thing to just be aware of. Maybe I'm like killing business here now, but I would make sure that this happens. Send me an email about the enterprise plan instead. But the second thing is, on copyrighted materials, if you use our enterprise plan, I would say almost any other enterprise plan, you own the commercials that you get out from us. That doesn't mean that the materials is always possible to get copyrighted. So there are specific laws that says of how much of the input needs to be, I can't remember if it's man-made or handmade. We don't give guidance on that because these laws and regulations, they change all the time. There are very good lawyers out there that knows everything about that. If you have an established brand, this is a lot easier because that brand is yours. You probably own copyright for it from before, etc., etc. If you're doing new stuff, then you should think about this.
What do you think is the biggest misconception about AI among marketers and creators?
I mean, biggest misconception. I really don't know, because I don't want to sit there and say like, don't think that it's not gonna like steal jobs, because like it's going to change a lot. I think most marketers and creatives don't understand how fun this is and how much of your ideas. We ran this thing called Dream Brief at Luma, which was that we invited all creatives across the world to use our new agents before it was launched to bring their ideas that they've been pitching for years. This was for ad agencies specifically, that they've been pitching for years and years and years, and everyone said no to come in, create them for free using our agents, but make them up as a Luma product, anything. We've had like anything from soap to suicide hotlines, like as Luma products as part of this. So it's a very wide variety. But in weeks, they created like 1-minute videos that are so good, hundreds of them, and we are now putting paid media behind a bunch of them, and we are submitting them for Cannes Lions this week. And everyone that wins, and I'm now understanding exactly how expensive this is going to be, everyone that wins a Cannes Lion Gold, we will pay them $1 million. So I'm now like, I thought it would only be $1 million, but now I looked at all of them and I'm terrified, unhappy of what I've seen. But just, and the creative directors and art directors and copywriters, and like it's such a broad variety of people that have used this. Some of them have never used AI before, and they're contacted. They're like, I had no idea I could do this. And the joy for them to finally be able to do an idea that they pitch, like, some stories are hilarious. I pitched this to like a toy company, a fashion label. Like, I understood who creatives work because they have a great idea, and then they just go to a bunch of different customers, even across different industries, and they just try to get this one idea made because they love the idea so much, which is beautiful. But finally they got their ideas made. And so that has been fantastic. I think most people don't understand this, actually.
I already we got one more question. What is the one thing that you think creatives and marketers need to understand about AI going forward?
I mean, this is part of your job now. This is part of my job now. Like this thing of like an AI marketer, like I guess I'm like an AI COO. Like I carve out hours every week on my schedule to figure out how I focus on removing the worst part of my job, because that's what I find most rewarding. But like, this is what we all need to do now. There's no difference in which job you are in. Like, this is it. And that's fantastic.
All right, Caroline, thank you